Alright, so I've been told to share my story on TikTok. I do a lot of public speaking and I bring awareness to a very rare disorder that I have. And we'll get into that later. So, I'll start from the beginning. The year is 2009, and I just moved out from my parents I was going from a community college to a university. And my aunt had passed away, so when I moved out, I had to go back to comfort my parents because my aunt passed away. So that first night, I didn't sleep, and that actually continued on for 10 days. So I would sleep for an hour, wake up, and would just pace in front of my bed. Just couldn't sleep for some reason. It was my anxiety got so bad to where I just couldn't turn off my mind. So then I saw a psychiatrist, and that psychiatrist diagnosed me with general anxiety disorder, and he prescribed me Xanax. That Xanax didn't even last a day. I ended up going to the ER. That doctor did CAT scan in my brain, couldn't find anything wrong, and prescribed me Ambien. That didn't help either. So then I saw a new psychiatrist, and that psychiatrist suggested that I see a neurologist. That neurologist suggested that I get an MRI. I had two MRIs. On the second MRI, the radiologist pulled me and my mom back into the back and said to my mom, straight up said, "Your son has had past strokes and recent strokes, and he needs to immediately be admitted to the hospital." So I was moved to the hospital. They did some tests. When they ran some tests, they stuck a camera down my throat and found out that I was born with a hole in my heart. Normally, babies, when they're born, their holes close up. Mine didn't close up. People will live normal lives with holes in their heart, so it had nothing to do with that. So after a while, the doctor comes in and says to my family, "Your son is showing signs of someone who huffs paint." Me, being a good kid in school, I admitted to just huffing laughing gas. And that's the only bad thing I did. So my family did some research in the area. They found the best stroke team in Dallas, which was at UT Southwestern in Dallas. And I was transferred there, and I was in ICU for 4 days before they rolled out. It wasn't a stroke; it was something neurologically. So more tests were done. I had a spinal tap where they took spinal fluid out my back, and they just would ask me random things about what was going on with my health. I had mentioned that I had warts on my fingers and I felt a lump in my balls, and they checked both those things. Nothing. So then the weekend doctor came in and suggested that I get a heavy male urine collecting test. So we did a 24-hour urine, and it determined that I had a lot of copper in my urine. And so they gave me a drug to pull out that copper, and even more copper was in my urine the next time. So then a student comes in and says he might have this rare liver disease called Wilson's disease. And so we did a liver biopsy, which determined at age 19 I had cirrhosis, stage 4 cirrhosis of the liver, and I have the very rare genetic liver disease called Wilson's disease. And what that disease is where your liver can't get rid of copper. So instead it stores in other parts of the body, including brain, liver, and kidneys, causing stroke-like symptoms, cirrhosis of the liver, and many other issues. There's no cure for it. There's only treatment. The only way you can get rid of most of these completely, though, is if you get a liver transplant, which I wasn't going to do. So I was going to go ahead and deal with treatment. But you get worse over treatment. So what the treatment is you take a drug, and the copper binds to the drug, going out through your blood, through your urine. So imagine me with copper deposits in my brain. It's going to spread out through more of my brain. So I lost my ability to walk and talk, and I declined to a third grade cognitive level. And I went to a brain injury rehab, learned how to walk and talk again, got discharged, and went to a group home. I used to be a bully, like in school. I used to pick on people with special needs, but also I was picked on as well. But it didn't excuse my behavior. But I never really dealt well with bullies. And in this group home, there was a bully, and I ended up beating that bully up because he made fun of me. They caught it on camera and they kicked me out of the group home. But thankfully, my case manager from the brain injury place referred me to a day program in Plano called My Possibilities. It is a continuing education for adults with cognitive disabilities, and because of ambition, sense of purpose, and inclusivity that they had there, I was able to raise my cognitive skills back from third level to college level. So I actually got hired on as staff, and I was mainly like their IT assistant, and they're in charge of their. And I was also a PA assistant, a program assistant as well. So I was in charge of scheduling and also all the staff schedules, all the student schedules, all that stuff. But I went back to college, got my degree in IT, where I graduated with a 3.9 GPA, magna cum laude, woo woo. Um, and then I just, but when COVID happened, I lost my job because they couldn't afford to keep me on. It was a nonprofit, and so I was unemployed for a year before I found my job at JP Morgan Chase. I've been employed there for 5 years. I love what I do. I make a lot of money. I'm fully independent. I just bought a new car. I date. I date, quote unquote, neurotypical people. People who don't have disabilities. People who don't have brain injuries. And I'm living my life. I will say this: I never noticed a disabled person before I became one. I never interacted with them. I never one. It was only after I became disabled. It was only after I became disabled that I started to see them. They want the same things I want: friends, relationships, to enjoy life. They want to be included, loved, and to be special to others. I make sure I make every account so I can make other people get every opportunity that I got, so that they can reach their full potential. Thank you. My story.